George Washington was an American politician and soldier who served as the first president of the United States from 1789 to 1797 and was one of the founding fathers of the United States. He served as commander-in-chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War and later presided over 1787 convention that drafted the United States Constitution. Washington began his career as a professional surveyor in 1749 at the age of 17. Washington was the only prominent founding father to arrange in his will for the manumission, freeing of all his slaves following his death and the death of his wife. He privately opposed slavery as an institution which he viewed as economically unsound and morally indefensible. Washington had owned slaves since the death of his father in 1743. As a young man, Washington had red hair, a popular myth as that he wore a wig as was the fashion among some at the time. Washington did not wear a wig, instead he powdered his hair. Washington was initiated into Freemasonry in 1752. Washington's height was variously recorded as 6 feet to 6 feet and 2 inches. He had unusually great physical strength that amazed younger men. Washington suffered from problems with his teeth throughout his life, and historians have tracked his experience in great detail. He lost his first adult tooth when he was 22 and had only one left by the time that he became president. Washington played a leading military and political role in the American Revolution. The Electoral College anonymously elected Washington as the first president in 1789 and again in 1792. He remains the only president to receive the totality of electoral votes. Washington was inaugurated on April 13, 1789, taking the first presidential oath of office on the balcony of Federal Hall in New York City. During Washington's first months in office in 1789, Congress created executive departments including the State Department on July 27th, the Department of War in early August, and the Treasury Department on September 2nd. Washington was not a member of any political party and hoped that they would not be formed, fearing conflict that would undermine republicanism. Historians estimate that his estate was worth about $1 million in 1799 dollars, equivalent to about 19.9 million in 2014 purchasing power. The diagnosis of Washington's final illness and the immediate cause of his death have been subjects of debate since the day he died. Even at that early date, there were accusations of medical malpractice, with some believing that Washington had been bled to death. It is generally concluded that Washington was a Christian, although the exact nature of his religious beliefs has been debated by some historians and biographers for over 200 years. During United States bicentennial year, George Washington was posthumously appointed to the grade of General of the Armies of the United States by the Congressional Joint Resolution Public Law 94-479. He became the highest-ranking military officer in U.S. history and was called the father of his country as early as 1778. George Washington's personal annotated copy of the acts passed at the Congress of the United States of America from 1789 includes the Constitution of the United States and a draft of the Bill of Rights. It was sold on June 22, 2012 at Christie's for $9,826,500, with fees added to the final cost to the Mount Vernon Ladies Association. This was the record for a document sold at auction. George Washington appears on contemporary US currency including the $1 bill and the $quarter-dollar coin, the Washington Quarter. His name became that of the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. The state of Washington is the only state to be named after a United States president. Washington, Theodore Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, and Abraham Lincoln are depicted in stone at the Mount Rushmore Memorial. The Washington Monument was built in his honor, one of the best-known American landmarks.